you're up to like 50 gallons, yeah, you're no longer, yeah, you are still a hobby, just still in. Okay, good. Hey, an update on Mike, our blind distiller. We are working feverishly, but we are really making progress. So for all of you who have commented and lended your support and your assistance, we definitely appreciate it because we're really on the road to success. So let's get into building this PID controller for a multiple element circuit. Yeah, this may look like a hot mess, but it really is straightforward. So here's my transformer, and there's my hot leg, and there's my neutral leg. So that means that when I plug this in, that transformer is going to work and that fan will come on because it's a 12-volt fan. Now I've already added my donut. I just call that a donut. That's the sensor for the amp meter that I've put in here, and I've put that right there on the main, a live wire coming in, because you only put a sensor on one of the hot wires. And then, gosh, I mean, everything else is relatively simple. Here's my 120 volt receptacle, and I've got my neutral line here. Now I've put a switch in the lid, so I've got, oh, there it is. There's a hot, and that's going to be the other hot that goes to the switch. So when I turn the switch on, the lighted switch, that will be on. When I turn the lighted switch off, of course, that'll be off. So let's keep going, and we'll get this thing all put together. Hey, we've made some progress. Here is what it's going to look like. Now, I know this looks like a hot mess on the inside, but believe it or not, it all makes sense to me. And there's my two 30 amp twist lock receptacles, and there's my 120 volt accessory. Now, what I did was, let me show you the panel, the front panel. Okay, I've got a master power here, so that's a lighted master power, and I've also got this lighted switch here, which turns on that accessory. So the water pump, that'll turn that on and turn that off. Now, what I've added is I've added these two switches, and these are two toggle switches, and they're simple on-off. And they're going to control the elements, and I'm going to show you how that happens. But here's the PID, and of course there's my amp and voltmeter, and yeah, the plug-in for the thermal probe. So here's how this is going to work. Let's get closer. Okay, you'll see here, remember I have the two solid state relays. Now I'm running, there's my in and my in. Okay, well, I got a hot wire going in from the red side, and I've used all black because that's all I've got, and that's a 10 gauge wire. Now I've got another 10 gauge wire here that goes from the black into number 1, and then from number 2, that goes from here, it goes to the receptacle. From number 2 goes to the receptacle. Oh yeah, this one goes actually to this receptacle, this one goes to this receptacle. Now the only thing I have to add to that is the other screw. I needed 120 volts, but remember, you got to take the 120 volts from the opposite leg. So this one comes from this leg, and then here's this wire that goes here and goes to that leg. And the same thing over here. This one goes to, oh boy, I got to follow this through. Yep. This one goes to this leg, and this one goes to the other leg. So that gives me the 240 volts on each. Now, what I'll do is, for the switching, you know that the PID is going to come on when it's required, and it's going to send the signal to pins 3 and 4 in both these cases, because I'm just going to run them parallel. So as it turns on the PID, it makes a connection, of course, and then it energizes my element. What I'll do is I'll switch. I'll run pin 4, which will go to pin 3 on the PID. Pin 4 will go to pin 3 on the PID. Pin 3 will first go to the switch. And it'll just go to one of those screws on the switch. And then from that, from the other side of that switch, it'll go to pin 4 on the PID. And the same thing here, from pin 3, I'll go to the other switch to one of the screws, and I'll go from the switch to pin 4 on the PID. So remember, 4 goes to 3 and 3 goes to 4 on the PID itself, and that's for the my pin TA4. But this is what this hot mess looks like, and we'll get her all cleaned up and wired up. Be back shortly. Well, folks, that's it. Completely wired and ready to go live. So we're going to close her up and show you what it looks like from the outside. Okay, this is our final product, signed, sealed, and delivered. Barley and Hops, Happy Distilling George. Now, this is the on and off for the individual elements. Element 1, element 2, element 1, element 2. And this is for the ACC, your accessory, water pump, whatever that may be. And this is the main power on and off. Now, before we fire this up, what's majorly important is if you ask for one of these, what's really, really important is that you let me know what kind of plug you need on this end. Now, this one in particular is going to be the 4-wire, 240 volt 4-wire. So it helps if you just take a picture of the receptacle you're going to plug it into, or if you already know what the number is, just tell me what that is. But I just want to make sure that when you get it, you can plug it in and you can start working. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a plug on the end of this, and we're going to plug it in, and I'm going to show you how it works. And this is my PID, my dual element PID, all assembled. And you see I got my volt amp meter here so I can keep track of that. And of course I could always use the PID. It has a power output mode that you can track as well. But here's how this works. Here's my, you can see the light goes on and off. That's the accessory for my water pump. This is my main power for my PID. And when I turn that on, I rewired it different so the fan would come on when I turn the PID on. That's really the only time I'll need it anyway. And these are my controls for, this is heater element number 1. And you'll see that it's flashing because it's requiring some heat or power. And here's number 2. And so now these lights will indicate every time that that element is fired. And every time my PID fires, these lights fire. So that's just a visual indicator, and it's, matter of fact, there goes my cool points. So if you're interested in one of these, just let me know, drop me a line, call me, or send me an email, and we'll talk about the requirements and specifics, and of course the type of plug that you need to put on the end of this in order to plug it in. And until next time.